Russia's involvement Russia's involvement is being suspected in this drone attack that almost took the life of this guy, Herzi Halevi, the chief of staff for IDF. We'll talk more about this in a second and show you how the media analysts in Israel, they are claiming that the drone was sent from Russia and it had one aim, which was to inflict maximum damage and cause maximum death. There are a few reasons why I would believe this story, and I'll tell you why in a second. But take a look at this report first. This is happening in Gaza. Israeli media reported on more than a difficult security incident in Gaza without providing any additional information. What this article or this news is suggesting is that not only Hezbollah, who is controlling this entire situation of the war between them and IDF, the belligerent forces from the Zionist state, but now it is Hamas who is actually doing even more damage to them. Now this is why you have to read what they have pointed out. Though Hezbollah has controlled the rhythm of resistance operations against Israel today, carrying out an estimated 35 rocket attacks, the Palestinian resistance in Gaza continued to activate all fighting units, especially in northern Gaza. We have another report, guys, that said this pathetic Zionist belligerent force, because they are now facing inevitable defeat, they have actually burned a hospital down with people inside of it. And this is a horrendous crime against humanity. This is also a sign that these mad dogs really cannot figure it out, how to get out of the situation and how to, quite frankly, save their lives. In Beit Lahia, Al-Qassam brigades said that our fighters, quote unquote, managed to blow up a tunnel shaft in a Zionist infantry force, killing and wounding them, end quote. In a separate statement, the group said that it targeted, quote, a house where dozens of occupation soldiers were holed up with a TBG shell, killing and wounding them east of Jabalia camp. The Jabalia camp was declared to be cleared by the Zionist forces from Hamas when the war started, or the oppression started, I should say, the genocide, I should say, started back on October 7th last year, only to then come back to this Jabalia camp and northern Gaza 3 more times, including this time. And when they are coming back to this Jabalia camp, they are facing inevitable death, and so they are running away, a lot of them. The news about Israeli media casualties in Gaza was sidelined by the major operation carried out by Hezbollah, targeting the Binyamina military base. And then we have also, however, Israeli media reported on more than, quote unquote, a difficult security incident in Gaza without providing any more details. Obviously, we now know there is a gag order in Israel for the media from publishing any news. So the question obviously is, let's talk about the media a little bit, the gag order. So the question is, how do we know these casualties, these mass casualties that happen targeting, looks like to me, Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi? And we have seen people were rushing to the hospital. It was alleged that there was at least 50 ambulances parked up at the parking lot of the camp, the Golani camp base in northern Israel. Well, the reason for that, the reason we have seen those pictures, photos, and videos is because IDF lost control over the narrative in some part of Israel. The citizen of Israel, the Zionists, they themselves are now filming and they're sharing this on social media. And that's how we have seen those ambulances, those casualties. Otherwise, IDF would not ever allow to show the whole world that they are being defeated. This is another propaganda that they are also trying to force on their people and to the whole world at large. Now, we have talked about Al-Qassam Brigade's Hamas, how they're inflicting a lot of damages and pain and casualties on IDF in northern Gaza and also in southern Gaza. We also have spoken about Al-Quds Brigade's Islamic Jihad, also known. They have also destroyed a Zionist troop carrier by detonating a pre-planted Thaqib explosive which penetrated the intersection of Al-Ra'id Street, Al-Bahr Street west of northern Gaza Strip. What I'm trying to get you here is that IDF is facing inevitable defeat in Gaza, in Lebanon, with Iran, with all the entities they're engaged in war with. Remember how Netanyahu said, he actually whined about this, that we are now fighting on 7 fronts. Do you remember that? Well, they're losing on the 7 fronts at the same time. Quote unquote, this is what Islamic Jihad or Al-Quds Brigade said. After returning from the battle lines, our fighters confirmed the targeting of 2 Zionist military vehicles with 2 Thaqib explosive devices while they were infiltrating the triangle area on Al-Sikka Street southeast of the Zaytun neighborhood in Gaza City. So this is the first part of this video. Now let's talk about the second part, shall we? And that is, now the media analysts in Israel, they are claiming that this drone that targeted, looks like it was very apparent, it was targeting senior officials from the Golan military base of Israel, and in the process it could have easily been successful targeting the chief of staff Herzi Halevi. Now Israeli Zionist media, they are speculating because there are so many things you have to understand. This drone that killed this 3 or 4 soldier and wounded 70, I believe the number is a lot higher than this, than what we are hearing from IDF. In the beginning they said 15 people were killed, 15 soldiers were killed. Then the number was brought down to only 3. So something is obviously not making sense here. And then the casualties in the beginning, they said, well, it was 70, and then they came out again and said, no, it was 67. So Zionists, they're hiding something big time. These are liars, we know. But what we know so far, let's take a look at this report here. A Hezbollah drone fired a missile targeting the dining hall of the Ben Yamina military training camp located south of Haifa. Then the drone itself turned into a weapon, as it also dove directly into the exact same spot, maximizing the number of Israeli military casualties. The chaotic scenes quickly made their way to social media, and despite a strict military gag order, the news spread quickly. The military tried to regain control over the narrative, but it was a case of too little too late. Israeli medical sources said that at least 50 ambulances rushed to the scene, and the chaos at the entrances to emergency rooms at Israeli hospital was filmed live on Israel media channels. Not only have Israeli defense failed to intercept the drone, but they did not even attempt to do so, raising many questions. I personally have this inclination to believe the reason it was a spectacular failure by IDF, that they could not detect or intercept or had no clue where this drone was coming from, is because the drone used very high technology, very, very high technology that cannot be made by Hezbollah itself, that cannot be made even by Iran, because these things are the work of Russia. But obviously Iran has also developed their drone system, and they have modernized their weapons, including the ballistic missiles capabilities. But I have an inclination again that it was not from Iran, it was actually from Russia. So if you see here, these questions were added to already unanswered questions from previous incidents where Israeli defenses failed to intercept or were not activated in the first place to shoot down drones, rockets or missiles fired from Lebanon. Some analysts are saying that Hezbollah is managing to deceive the Israeli defense system. Others say that the system itself is faulted, as of October 1 attack by Iran has demonstrated. as the October 1 attack by Iran has demonstrated. Basically, they are now finding a connection, and they're seeing a trend that Israeli defense forces, they're so incapable of defending themselves that it is not just Hezbollah. I mean, it doesn't have to be a country with this technology to attack Israel. For example, any country from the world, what I understand from this, any country with the smallest and tiniest of military can actually attack Israel, and Israel will be destroyed. But the only reason Israel is still there is because of United States and UK and Germany and France's support. So they are not able to defend themselves, even though they say, we have the right to defend ourselves, but they don't have the system in place. And the systems they have, the Iron Dome, the THAAD missile now will be activated soon. All of this missile system they have, all the capabilities they have, these are all a complete show off to the world in order to intimidate the neighboring countries. Because Israel, they do not have those capabilities the way they want us to believe. Sometimes you see them inventing laser technology. I have reported on this back in the year 2022. Israel was working on laser technology, means they would not even have to use radar or any drone or any projectiles to shoot down objects in the sky. The laser was good enough. And those were all for show off. These are, in reality, they do not exist. They do not exist, the technology they want us to believe. So again, trying to scare the people, trying to scare the neighbors. And today, they're so weak, guys, anybody can attack them and they will be successful. But there are also questions about the Hezbollah drone used in the attack. So, questioning about the drone. Israeli media analysts suggest that the drone is Russian, while others say it is Iranian. So again, some people are saying Iran, some are saying Russian. I personally believe it was Russian, as I said. I could be wrong, but this is what I believe. Now, we talk about media hypocrisy. Take a look at how Sky News is broadcasting this incident. So they said, Sky News, Israel has named 4 teenage victims of a Hezbollah drone strike on a military base. Can you imagine calling them teenage victims? Like, these are monsters who were ready to kill children and women of Gaza and Lebanon. And Sky News is calling them teenage victims. So here you have more blatant double standard from a Western media owned by Rupert Murdoch. And now we have this news also confirming Zionist sources, what I said, claims that Hezbollah has received Russian missiles to use in recent attack. Zionist sources claim that Hezbollah received a new, quote-unquote, a new and dangerous type of missiles from Russia. Missiles that are almost undetectable from a radar and difficult to intercept. They claim that they have the ability to control up to 250 kilometers, capable of carrying up to 3 small but accurate missiles. So it does resonate with the report that said the missiles were actually two of them, or the drones were 2 of them or 3 of them, but the number was very, very minimum. But they're very, very accurate according to this report. Now, Marandi, he posted this on X. He says, Iran is waiting for genocidal Zionist leaders to provide it with an excuse to hammer the rapists and child killers much harder than before. There is also this report, and I find this to be ludicrous, that we're still talking about ICC and international law, even though they are now indicting 1,000 Israeli soldiers for war crime. But then again, these are all talk. ICC, ICJ, these have all become a matter of joke. No law applies on the Zionist, no law. But obviously they're going to meet the real law that should matter, and that is the law of God. Once they meet him, they will have to be answering him what they did to the people of Gaza and to the people of Lebanon. Unbelievable genocidal maniacs, full on display, that could actually lead us to World War III. If any miscalculation happens, especially between Russia and US, we are all done. We are smoked.